This is Larry Tabb, founder and CEO of TABB Group. I'm here with Paul Rowady, senior analyst at TABB Group, who focuses a lot on data issues and market structure issues. And today we're going to have a discussion on speed. 2 years ago, almost certainly to the month, maybe to the day, who knows, Paul and I sat and talked about high-frequency trading post-saturation.
Yeah.
We talked about the HFTs were kind of starting to knock each other out of the box, that the cost of investing in this infrastructure was becoming too expensive, that the profitability of the whole sector was declining, and that we thought that the whole discussion on HFT was kind of past its prime. Now it's July 2013. Where are we?
Well, I think that certainly some of what we exposed in that note, the world after high-speed saturation, I think has come to be true. We talked about the tip of the spear, and that in the pursuit of that next millisecond, the next microsecond, these days the next few nanoseconds even, that there is just, you have less and less space at that tip of the spear. There can only be one winner to any given race in any given market situation. And so we've seen that, and we said that maybe there'd be some consolidation in the space, maybe a couple of the players would get knocked out. And furthermore, we talked about how if, for those that wanted to stay in the quant game, that they'd have to start pointing their laser beams at other forms of alpha, whether it be cross-asset, cross-regional, different temporal waves, different turnover frequencies. And I think along that spectrum we have some precedent for all those things happening.
I think if you look over the past 2 years, what have we seen? We've seen the Knight Getco merger that just was finalized on Monday. Big party at the Florida, New York.
Yeah.
Congratulations on those guys hooking up. But we've heard rumors of Alston and RGM thinking about getting together. We've seen a couple of players decide that they no longer want to be in the business and shut down. And so I think, not necessarily to, pat ourselves on the back, but I think it was a pretty prescient call to say that, look, we're in a new phase.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the next question to you, Paul, is, have we reached that new phase? Are we seeing some of the HFTs and high-frequency strategies move into different geos? Certainly geos, yeah.
Yes.
But different asset classes?
Some, not nearly to the extent, certainly not nearly to the penetration.
Yeah.
And this is where, as we kind of were prepping here, where we may be in a bit of a purgatory, where what I saw at the time, and I still see coming, but it's still kind of in a formative stage, which is, I think some of the biggest theoretical alpha out there, one area is in the transformation in fixed income. Mm-hmm. And how those workflows are becoming much more automated a la regulation, right? So clearly there's going to be a lot more ways for automated trading strategies to pick away at interact with the liquidity across the cash side, from the corporate to the muni to the govies, and then the derivatives. And certainly there's mass transformation in the swaps market, which is all just this bubbling cauldron of opportunity theoretically. And I think that where we get to the purgatory is that maybe we're not there, enough.
It's bridging the now to the theoretical.
Right.
Mm-hmm. How long do you think that'll take, or do you think that these guys can make it till then? Do you think that this is something that will be, is this a series of months, or is this a series of years?
I would place my bets more on the year unit than the months unit. I mean, maybe a 12-month. If we're lucky, I think if we're lucky by virtue of quantitative strategies, I think that there may be some opportunities to pick away at the expanding spectrum of swap and hybrid swap and futurization going on there.
Yeah, and clearly as the CEFs come online and as more liquidity builds up in the DCMs in terms of swap futures, there'll be those kind of arbitrages that occur. Absolutely, and they actually should be starting now.
Yeah, and I think that's really, if we want to kind of underscore a message here, depending, I mean, I get that there's an existential aspect to this, that there's got to be some source of profitability to fuel all the new research that has to happen, and there's some question marks there. But clearly, while we're in this so-called purgatory where there may not be as much to do as we would like, that our appetite for new sources of alpha remains unsatisfied, that there's a whole foundational and more complex data strategy in terms of using more, it's not just listed equities anymore, or listed options. It's all these new data sources. There's a lot of fundamental factors. I'm working on a note right now for machine readable data and what's going on with low latency news feeds and economic data, which, as an aside,
by the time you actually publish it, it might be gone.
I just came. It's funny you mentioned that. I just came up with a segment of the report called "Peaking and Peaking," which is about the controversy of getting the peak, but also maybe that at least some of it has peaked. That the use cases, that those are crowded trades, just like we're seeing in the other stuff.
All right. That now the political pressure to for segmented release is going to be too great for the money that's going to be generated.
That's a whole other series of videos.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll cut it there. I want to thank Keno Reeves. This is Sandra Bullock, and you're listening to Speed 2.